Corman Fantasy Cast, episode 22.
On this week's episode, we have our top 5 game breakers, our rapid fire, guru start, best bench player, team of the week, key matchup, gajif of the week, complete breakdown of Riverboat Mike Da Silva's trade sagas, tragedy for one team, cunning and intrigue for another. Week 4 is in the books. Week 5 rapidly approaches on the Corman Fantasy Cast. Take it away, Bri. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Corman Fantasy Cast. With me this week, the Corman record holder for most consecutive wins with 12, CJ. CJ, thank you so much for being with us this week. So glad to have you.
So much fun. I'm so excited.
I'm excited that you're excited. However, my penis can only get so erect.
Good reference.
Yeah, thanks so much. Anyway, I would be remiss if we didn't lead the show off with news of tragedy. As you all know, because it's been all over the news, as you all know, horrific, terrible images that you've seen on your TV. Tragically, over the weekend, Dalvin Cook suffered a complete ACL tear. Yes, that is what all of you were thinking that I was leading up to. Yes, that is exactly what you thought I was leading up to. Dalvin Cook. So that is in the first 4 weeks, David Johnson goes down and Dalvin Cook goes down. My top 2 picks. Tragedy, pain, horror for me. But although things in fantasy seem bleak, I want you guys to know that I have a very good and very fulfilling life outside of fantasy football. And while fantasy football is a vortex that is like a never-ending hellscape, my personal life is really great and really couldn't be going better. So don't worry about me. I'm going to be okay. But that being said, CJ, I do understand that there was something that you wanted to say on the matter, on the tragedy that's befallen Knuckles.
I just feel really bad, but fortunately for me, I probably haven't won a Corman matchup. Maybe like eight games, right? Because I had a pretty bad stretch at the end of last year.
Right, going back to last season.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you gave it to me. So, I do feel bad for you, but you know what? I was 0-3. You were 1-2. I was in 14th place. You were in 7th, and I still feel like you were a little too down. But then I really got digging, and David Johnson, and Dalvin Cook, Mariota's your best player. Now maybe he's a little banged up. So then I was like, okay, you really had some bad luck. So I'm like, but you probably got some good guys on your bench and whatnot. So I started looking at your bench, and then I saw this dude called Elijah Penny. And I don't even know who the fuck Elijah Penny is. And that's when I was like, you know what? Kevin really did hit rock bottom. That's why he's not showing up in the group chats. That's why he's not responding. That's why he's depressed. Because who is Elijah Penny?
Bruce Arians doesn't even know who Elijah Penny is.
No, I don't. Maybe you gurus do out there if there's more, if there goes deeper. But that's all I know. So that's it. So I thank you. Thanks for the win, and I'm looking forward to getting back into it.
Yes, and there is the circle of life aspect to this. One person's tragedy becomes another person's gift or another person's good fortune. And look, somebody now has to take the carries in Minnesota. Minnesota's a viable playoff team, or so they think, they believe. So someone's got to carry the rock for them. And that person, pretty much consensus, is going to be Latavius Murray. Now, anyone paying attention to the waiver wires this week will know that my brother, Brian, last year's champion, Dolomite Pimp Squad, was able to scoop up Latavius Murray off the waivers. But there's an interesting story behind it, and one that only I would know, except that right before my brother told me, I secretly started recording him. It is a tale of cunning, it is a tale of intrigue, It is a tale where the holidays are taken for a ride by Brian. Take a look for yourselves.
So, like, the first thing I did was, Mike was first, Joe was second, and I was third. The first thing I did was I went to the message board. I said, who's the top waiver claim this week? And then Mike was the first one to respond, and he goes, Latavius Murray. So now in my head, I'm like, oh, shit, he's going to take Latavius Murray, right? That's what you would think, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, fuck. I'm like, I have to try to get him to not take Latavius Murray. So I started talking to Joe, like, just asking Joe, like, who he's going to get. Like, basically, like, playing games with me, you know, having, like, fun, like, ooh, yeah, I'm playing fuck with Brian a little bit. And then he tells me and then he's like, no, I'm not going to. I'm like, so just tell me who you're going to take. Tell me who. He's like, no, just wait. Like, I might not even use mine. And Mike uses his, so I could become number one on the waiver thing. And I said to him, I was like, damn you, that's what I was going to do. So now he's like, no, I'm going to be number one. You know what I mean? So, like, right there, I was done with Joe. I was like, I got him, right? So I felt confident that now he wasn't going to use it on anyone. And then, because he knew I was waiting. And, like, I had, like, a huge conversation with him before I dropped that in there. So it's not like I just texted him, I'm not using mine, and he's like, oh, he's probably full of shit. Like, I really feel like he bought it. And then Mike, I texted the same thing. Like, right when I texted Joe, I texted them both at the same time. Who you taking who you taking this week? Or are you using your spot or something like that? I forget what I said. And then Mike was like, maybe. And then I just said nothing to him for like a long-ass time. And he texted me again. He was like, no, I want to play. You know what I mean? He texted me again, and he's like, probably not the answer you were looking for. Right? So I'm like, all right, I got him now. All right, well, I'm going for Cam Newton. Am I getting him? And he's like, yes. So I'm like, all right, I got Mike now, because now Mike thinks I'm taking Cam Newton, and he knows Joe's waiting. So now I'm thinking, like, now he thinks I'm taking Cam Newton, so, like, he doesn't, like, he was thinking about taking Latavius Murray. So now he's thinking, like, I'm not even thinking about Latavius Murray. He's like, what's wrong with Latavius Murray? You know, that he's not even going to attempt him. And he knows Joe's waiting to use his. So now he wants to wait, so his brother doesn't get number one. And then I just grabbed Latavius Murray. Got him. And Mike texted me this morning, like, giving me ups on it. Like, yeah, you got me. Like, totally validating it.
Absolute savagery there by Brian. I mean, just really, really devious stuff.
Yeah, that was pretty ridiculous. As soon as he started posting, oh, who's everyone taking number one, I knew he was up to something, and sure enough,
I think didn't you actually say on the message board that he was up to something?
I said Brian's not stupid, you know, he's up to something. He's
Yeah.
asking, oh, who's everyone taking number one? Just being a good friend, want to know, you know,
So
anyone
CJ
want advice?
CJ actually gave everybody a warning.
Yeah.
And the holidays, the hubris of the Holiday brothers,
Got
sitting
him.
up at the top of the waiver wire and the standings, ended up backfiring on them. So nice go, Bri. We're gonna get right now into our top 5 game breakers of the week, and boy, what a week it was! What an unbelievable group that we have here for the game breakers. We'll start at number 5 with Dolomite Pimp Squad. Lev Bell went off for 29.6 points, 144 rushing yards, 2 rushing TDs, and 42 reception yards. Bell outscores Zeke and crushes hashtag Kickers Lives Matter. Dolomite Pimp Squad is the only 2-2 team through 4 weeks, but it's a strong 2-2 if you were watching the first 3 next 3 last 3.
Am I taking this?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Brown bagging it. Had LeGarrette Blount, who scored 15.6 points. He had 136 rushing yards and 20 receiving yards. Blount led Brown bagging it to another victory. He is second in the division and 4th overall.
4th overall ranking in the Corman. Brown bagging it, really having a nice season, putting together a nice season early on. At number 3, I just Kareemed my pants. The Kareemi girls do it again. We couldn't have a top 5 game breakers without the Kareemi girls. They combined for 39.6 this week, an actual pedestrian showing by their standard. 222 combined rushing yards, 114 combined receiving yards, and a touchdown. Kareemi girls bail Mike out for a 4th straight week, improving him to 4-0. the only undefeated team in the Corman, as you're about to see.
Yeah, won by 2 points, sneaked out another one. Fuck you, Mike. We all hate you. Dazed and Confused had Lamar Miller, got 25.1 points. He had 75 rush yards, 1 receiving touchdown, and 1 rush touchdown. Silva scored, roasted for... Oh, yeah, he was being brutalized for trading Miller and Jones, and then ultimately they got more points than either of the people he traded, and it got him the win. So by 1 point, it was 103.70 to 102.12, so he sneaked it out.
That's right, and to tease a segment that we're going to do later, we're going to break down just how all these trades that have been going on with De Silva have been coming up spades so far this season, but the season is long. And at number one, our number one game breaker of the week, here we go now, Team Normie. Our Kansas City defense, while they only scored 9 points, that 9 points was absolutely pivotal. Because a last-second Monday Night Football touchdown puts Normie over the top and takes down previously undefeated Fournette-cation with a final score of 102 to 100. I mean, that is the absolute game breaker. It's really the backbreaker for Fournette-cation.
Yeah, it was a horrible way to lose. You could hardly even hold it against him, but he got the L, and Normie pulled it off.
Great job by our top 5 game breakers. And now it's time for everybody's favorite segment, the Good GIF of the Week. An amazing group of nominees we have this week for Good GIF of the Week. The competition on the message board has been really intense. To start off with, our first nominee, Dolomite Pimp Squad, throws a KFC bomb.
And I nominate Bombo's erect penis.
And finally, they say that nobody knows how to get under your skin like your brother. And that's why we're nominating what we can only refer to as, oh my God, I just lost.
And the winner is... Oh my God, I just lost.
Wow, really riveting. I have to say, we give this to Mike for the timing of it. You have to understand that Joe was in the throes of a close loss that had just happened. At 11:46, he posts, oh my God, I just lost. And at 11:46, Mike throws on the Deadpool gif for, oh my God, I just lost. I mean, just the timing of it, Mike. That's why you won.
That was
it's the
great.
timing.
That
well
was
done.
Great timing. Okay, so, this week, I'm 1-3. I'm starting to feel like, not desperate, but like I'm starting to feel like, okay, maybe I need to make some changes, right? So, of course, start talking to De Silva. He's sending me some crazy trade offers. So I start thinking to myself, like, what does Destin Confused, like, does he get a lot out of, like, these trades? Like, is it worth it? Like, do I need to think more? Do I need to trade more? Like, should I really be maybe considering this? So I'm like, okay, you know what? I got to break this down a little bit. And I did a little breakdown of Destin Confused trades.
Right, now we should point out here that Destin Confused, I mean, he has been getting his belly rubbed all season long so far, as CJ is going to go into, from the day of the draft, from even before the draft. Didn't he have a draft? Did he have a draft day trade or a
He did. He
trade
traded Brian some draft picks.
He has been getting his belly rubbed.
Yeah, so we broke it down a little bit. And we have his original team. Kirk Cousins, DeMarco Murray, Carlos Hyde, T.Y. Hilton, Jarvis Landry, Julius Thomas, Michael Crabtree, fuck the kicker, C.J. Anderson, Deshaun Jackson.
And this is the bench, C.J. Anderson, right?
Yeah, this is the bench. C.J. Anderson on his bench, Deshaun Jackson on his bench, Marlon Mack, whatever, Mohamed Sanu, Hightower, James Conner, blah, 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 all throwaways. Then I start looking at the trades, right? For example, I'm going to break this one down, and then we can cruise to the other ones. But this first trade was with me before we even left Brian's house on draft night.
Wow. It was draft day trade. The draft ends, and before De Silva even leaves the house, he's already wheeling and dealing. My goodness.
CJ, let's do a deal. CJ, let's do a deal. Come talk to me. Come over in my office. All right, so he wants Darren McFadden and Terrell Pryor for Carlos Hyde and Jarvis Landry. I'm getting Carlos Hyde and Jarvis Landry. Carlos Hyde has had a great season. Jarvis Landry has potentially gets a lot of targets, but Jay Cutler sucks, so he's not doing much. But I gave him Darren McFadden and Terrell Pryor. Darren McFadden, he lost. He dropped. Terrell Pryor had one good game this season. So, all right, so that's one, right? Trade two.
On draft day. So here we go now, trade two.
Sammy Watkins and T.Y. Hilton, all right? So we won't break all these down just yet, but I'm going to get to the team now, and we can talk a little bit more.
Yeah, so T.Y., Sammy, that seemed like kind of a reasonable trade. Two relatively even pieces, right? I mean, more or less.
At the time, fairly new into the season. Yeah, T.Y. Hilton waiting for Andrew Luck. Sammy Watkins waiting for something promising. Yeah. Then Julio Jones and Doug Martin for Sammy Watkins and DeMarco Murray. So now De Silva's getting Julio Jones and Doug Martin. You're like, damn, he's got some big name guys. There's some people in the message board, Bombo, like stuff like that.
Yeah, a lot of people this was the one that really got people talking. This was the trade that people really were like, what the hell is going on? Like, just pieces flying at a rapid pace.
Yep, yeah, and then the other big one with, I think, Normie, it was Golden Tate, Lamar Miller, and Alan Hearns all go to Desd and Confused. For Julio Jones, Terrell Pryor, and Aaron Jones. Those are the guys he gives up. Finally, my trade from week one, Terrell Pryor, he's out sitting on his team, not really doing much. Now his team is Andy Dalton, Lamar Miller, Doug Martin, who's maybe going to do some big things, C.J. Anderson, who has been doing really good. He's got Golden Tate and Deshaun Jackson at wide receiver, Michael Crabtree still on his bench, Alan Hearns on his bench, Cameron Braid at tight end.
I mean, it's crazy, and you pointed this out. Of the 14 people that were originally drafted by De Silva on draft day, how many still remain on his team?
4 from his original draft.
4 in his draft. I suck at math, but that is a low percentage of players. And exactly, look, a Rolling Stone gathers no moss. That's the strategy he's applying, and he's 3-1, second best record in the corner, so can't really argue with the results thus far. But as the season goes, we shall tell. Way to go, De Silva. Way to make things interesting, and way to make yourself a focal part of this episode. Yeah. Like, it just dawned on me that maybe we shouldn't say rapid fire. Rapid fire! You know why I did it? Because I was going to be like, I swear.
It's not as bad as me laughing.
Wait. This is what I swear this is true. The reason why that even popped into my head was because without even thinking anything having to do with what happened, I was going to be, because I always do something stupid every time we do rapid fire. So I was going to be like, rapid fire! But then, like, I thought about doing that, and then I was like, oh no.
I can't do that today.
I was like, I can't do that. That's rapid fire. Like, wait, the segment's called Rapid Fire. We can't call it Rapid Fire. All right, here we go. CJ, give me Guru Start of the Week.
The Guru Start of the Week was Team Normie with Giovanni Bernard with 13.9 points, which won him the game by 2.5 points. How about you tell us who the best bench player was?
Best bench has to go to Cater to My Needs. Devin Funches scored bunches of points, 19 of them, that would have made a difference and would have won the game for Cater to My Needs if he had him in the game. What about Team of the Week there, CJ?
I'd have to give it to Desd and Confused, who's been pulling off these trades, and he won by 1.58 points and pulled off another victory.
That's right. We had 3 games this week that were decided by less than 3 points. That is crazy. Also, only 4 teams that scored 100 points, none of them over 103 points, and all of them played each other, and all close games. And finally, our key matchup for next week. In the Heroes Division, it is a divisional showdown at the top. First and second place, I just Kareemed my pants, who is undefeated at 4-0, versus Brown bagging it. Bailey sitting at 3-1. Mike way out in points, but this is a great matchup of 2 elite Corman teams.
Yeah, I'm excited for Mike to get his first loss and get me back into the running a little bit, but we'll see what happens. They're both really good teams.
That's right. It is a story of the haves and the have-nots so far in the Corman, but the season is young, so even if you're 1-3, which our worst teams are...
7 teams are 1-3.
7 teams at 1-3, and only 2 games out of a playoff spot at this point. The season is young. Technically and literally, everybody is still alive and looking for those playoff spots, looking to punch their ticket. Thank you so much for joining us today, CJ. Always a pleasure, since you just kicked my dick in this week, to sit there and share the episode with you. Thank you very much to all of our fans. Make sure that you hit up the message board. If anyone has any responses to my weekly segment, Kevin's Fucking Corner, please feel free to come on any point and debate any of the solid points that I make. And you're welcome for dropping that knowledge. Until next time, Atque.
Ave Noche.
Nache. I think it just moved. It just moved. CJ had his hand on my thigh. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Peace out.
Am I doing too much of the shooting humor? Rapid fire!
Rapid fire! Rapid fire!